Hello everyone, welcome back to the fabrication shop. Today we're going to be applying the paint and color scheme to our Scrambler tribute rocket. If you're new to our channel, we want to encourage you to subscribe and hit the bell so that you'll be notified when we drop our next video. Before we start painting, we want to let you know about the paint wand we're using. This paint wand allows us to easily maneuver the rocket while we're painting it. It starts with a 7/16 inch diameter dowel, and then we add a set of adapters to the end of the dowel. These adapters are 3D printed, and they can be downloaded from Thingiverse. Look for the link in the description below. The adapters were designed by Dennis McKay. Hope I pronounced that right for you, Dennis. They're designed to slide into each other. Here we use 3 adapters, starting with the 13mm adapter attached to the dowel, followed by the 18mm adapter, and then the 24mm adapter. This is then inserted into the engine mount tube in the rocket. Now we can easily control the rotation of the rocket and the angle so that we can hit it with the spray can the easiest. Next, we want to talk about how we set up our spray can. You'll see that we've attached a handle. This handle gives us much better control of the can than just trying to press on the nozzle itself. Using this handle allows you to use the spray paint more like a large airbrush. For the base coat, we don't need to mask off anything. The adapters will keep the inside of the engine mount tube free from paint overspray. We will add a small rag in the top of the body tube to keep the paint out from that part of the rocket. As we apply paint, we're going to use long strokes back and forth along the body tube. The painting should start before the model and then beyond the model. You don't want to start the paint flowing in the middle of the body tube. We're also going to apply paint to the fins using a similar back and forth motion. Now this initial coat needs to be a light one. We want to see how well the paint is sticking to the primer surface and if there is any areas that need to be fixed before we apply the final coat. Once we have a light, even coat on all the surfaces of the rocket, we can set it aside and let it dry. So we have our first color coat on our rocket on the body tube, and we're going to take a quick look at it. Overall, it doesn't look too bad, but if you take a close look, you can see where there's some areas where it's almost like the paint avoided attaching itself to the primer, mostly down here near the fins. There are some light spots, some dark spots. That's what we expect to see, but these areas here where it's almost like bubbling, those we don't want. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to sand this down a little bit, and then we'll come back with another color coat. Now where we are located at, it's rather hot and humid. It took about 4 days for this color coat to dry to where we could pick it up. Prior to that, it still had that stickiness to the finish. So sometimes when you're doing these models, depending on where you're at, you have to exhibit some patience if you want to get a good finish. So we will go ahead, we'll sand this down. We won't sand all the way through, we're just going to sand it a little bit so that we have something for the second coat of paint to attach itself to, and then we'll spray it with a second coat, let that dry. Again, it may be several days before we're able to actually touch the finish without messing it up. And then we'll come back and look at it and we'll move on from there. Hopefully we'll have a nice even finish, and with that we'll be able to start masking off our fins and our nose cone and get those painted, as well as the payload adapter. Now that it is completely cured, we're ready to mask off our fins. Since each fin's a different color, we're going to do one fin at a time. We'll also go from the lightest color to the darkest color. So in this case, we'll start with the orange fin and then finish up with the black fin. We start by placing our modeling tape, the yellow tape, around the base of the fin. This is where it meets the body tube. Once this is in place, we can use the blue painter's tape and an old shopping bag to mask off the rest of the rocket. We use the modeling tape first because this will give us a cleaner edge. I also tend to mask off the bottom of the rocket. Make sure you leave enough room so that we can insert the painter's wand. Before applying the color coat, take an extra minute or two to burnish the edges of the tape around the fin. This will also help in preventing any paint seepage going under the tape. We spray the orange fin first and then let it dry for a couple days. Again, high heat and humidity equals low curing time on our paint. Next, we repeated the same procedure for the black fin. Make sure to burnish the edges of the tape so that none of the paint seeps under the tape. You should end up with a nice clean line when you pull the tape off. So that concludes this episode. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you like what we're doing here, please click on the like and subscribe buttons. If you hit the bell, you'll be notified when we drop our next video. So until next time, wishing you all the best and take care.